What passive income ideas can you use to increase your monthly cash flow by thousands of dollars? We discuss 4 realistic options. Here we go. Welcome to the Forget About Money podcast, where we encourage you to take action today so that you can focus on what matters most to you. Today, I'm speaking with Cody Berman. Cody is an expert in passive income streams, having successfully built multiple income sources that allow him to earn a substantial monthly income with minimal ongoing effort. Welcome, Cody.
Thanks for having me, David. I'm excited for this.
In this episode, we talk about 4 passive income streams that make Cody 40. My brain doesn't even want to admit that it's that much money, Cody. In this episode, we talk about 4 passive income streams that make Cody $75,966 per month. His practical advice for beginners, and his personal financial independence journey and future plans. Cody, I've known you for, I think you're 28 now. I've known you, I think I met you when you were 21 or 22. And I will say that I have been completely impressed by watching your journey, not only your financial independence journey, but your personal journey. Congratulations on a recent marriage.
Thank you.
And just seeing you in the financial independence space, helping so many other people achieve what they want to achieve. And part of how you do this is by teaching people how to use passive income to improve their financial lot in life. Can you share your journey into the world of passive income? Like what motivated you to start?
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words. Hopefully I can live up to that awesome intro. But what got me into passive income was growing up, I would always think that if you made a lot of money per hour, that meant you were rich. So I had doctors in the family, I had lawyers in the family, cousins, and they made $200 an hour. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. And it wasn't until I read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, where he just flipped that whole paradigm on its head. And I realized that the richest people don't trade their time for money at all. The richest people build up passive income streams, whether they're using their time, their money, their energy, and those passive income streams pay them whether or not they're working on them. So after I read that book, my whole world shifted and I focused all my energy on building these passive income streams.
What were some of the very first passive income streams that you created and how successful were they?
Very first one was a disc golf manufacturing company. And it might not sound passive at all, but we had built pretty good systems and we had everything streamlined. Someone would place an order online. We wouldn't touch it. A fulfillment center would send the disc out. That was probably the first one. Then I started getting into the online stuff a little bit more, some blogging. Digital products was the first truly passive income stream. That started going pretty well. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that a lot today, but those are probably some of the early ones.
So if somebody clicked on this YouTube video or is listening to this podcast, they did so because the title is 4 passive income ideas that make me $75,966 per month. Now, outside looking in, that sounds almost unbelievable. Can you break down the passive income streams you currently use and how much you make from each?
So the 4 big ones I have right now is digital products. That's the biggest. And digital products meaning printables, ebooks, online courses, memberships. So just everything under the digital product, digital offer umbrella. That brings in net about 60 grand per month. The next biggest one is my real estate portfolio, which is a mixture of long-term rentals and short-term rentals, aka Airbnbs. That brings in about $7,000 per month. I have about $1.5 million invested in the stock market. So using the 4% rule that we all know and love and kind of extrapolating that out, I can quote unquote bring in, or my portfolio appreciates by about $4,966 per month, hence the 966 number that David just mentioned. And then I do about $4,000 per month in affiliate marketing.
Now, can you go into each of those a little bit deeper and just explain a little bit more what it is you're actually doing to get this kind of income?
Yes. Okay. So let's start at the top. So digital products. So where I got started, and when I mentioned before, when I first started selling digital products, I was mostly just selling holiday gifts and ideas and games on Etsy. And so I actually got my first big break on Etsy selling digital products. So I remember one week I'd created all these Valentine's Day printables. I was actually skiing in Lake Tahoe. So going back to the first time I experienced true passive income, I was with actually a bunch of FinCon folks. Like I was on the ski lift with Nick Loper of Side Hustle Nation, if anyone listens to that podcast. And my phone was blowing up. And by lunchtime, I had over $100 in my Etsy shop. I'm like, what's going on? This is so cool. And a couple of my Valentine's Day printables Printables are basically just digital downloads, digital files that I create on a free program like Canva. I list in my Etsy shop. Someone goes in, they buy it. Etsy delivers the file to them automatically, and I get the money. So by the end of this week, I'd made over $700 from printables that I had created the month before. Hadn't worked on them all week because, again, I was skiing every day in Lake Tahoe with this group of financial independence nerds. And I was like, this is so cool. This is like the first time I've experienced true make money while you sleep, make money while you ski, passive income. And since then, it's just, as you can imagine, I doubled down hard once I had that success. And it turned into multiple shops, like selling on Shopify. Then we launched an online course and a community. Now we have this like massive template library that we're selling as well. So it's kind of become a whole beast of its own. And now we have a community of actually over 20,000 digital product sellers. Some people who have had success that's even surpassed mine, which is cool and humbling to say.
So right now it's 2024. What do you see as the most legitimate and profitable ways to make passive income online? Because we're inundated with ads, buy this course, buy that course. You can get rich quick doing this or that. What do you think, since you're in the trenches with it and you're seeing real success stories, what do you think is the most viable, realistic option for most people?
I think any option that promises you outsized success in a month or two is absolute BS. You can have success with any of these things. Like ones that get a bad rep, there's drop shipping, there's Amazon FBA, selling digital products on Amazon and Etsy. The gurus that are crouching in front of the Lambos saying that you're going to make 40K in your first month, don't listen to them. But it's just, you have to have grit. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to iterate, because your first creations, your first things that you're selling, the first things that you're doing online are not going to be good. They're going to be terrible. Mine were terrible. And I just had to live with that for the first couple months until I started to see success. So I guess the long-winded answer here is any of these can work. Like there's a reason why these gurus are probably promoting these things. Like there are success stories. There's people that have made it work, but you just got to realize that you do have to put in the work. There's not just like one best magic side hustle or everybody would be doing it. There's success to be found in all these different online side hustles. Just don't get the wool pulled over your eyes and think that you're going to make 40K in your first month by listening to someone crouching in front of a Lambo on an Instagram ad.
Okay, so we're just going to show up on the screen now, Cody and your Lamborghini. Okay,
Yeah.
just let's wait for that. Okay, all right, moving on with the interview. Etsy is a very popular platform for passive income, as you mentioned, and you've seen a lot of people get success through that, including yourself, of course. Can you give us some insights on how to successfully create passive income on Etsy specifically?
The cool thing about Etsy is that you don't need an audience. So similar to Amazon, if you're selling digital products, if you put a product on there that it's well researched, good SEO, search engine optimization, you looked up the right keywords, you have the right product for the person that's searching for that thing, the platform's going to deliver the buyers straight to your doorstep. Same thing with Etsy. So with digital products, I'll use a bunch of keyword research tools. We don't have to get into the weeds here, but basically my job is to figure out what people are typing into the Etsy search bar, creating that thing, making sure that it has all the features, it's the perfect title, the perfect description, all the things that they want, listing on Etsy. And if I do my job right, Etsy is going to show that listing to the buyer, therefore making me passive income. And so, like I mentioned with that Valentine's Day story, I've had weeks where I created a product, a ton of people wanted it, especially around seasonal products. That's another pro tip here. If you target seasonal printables, seasonal digital products, you can see a ton of success because the search volume during those times is 1,000x, 10,000x. Like if you're listening to this podcast around Christmas time, my God, go and make a bunch of Christmas digital products and you'll see your sales skyrocket.
Are there any new trends in the broader passive income space that you're particularly excited about or see a lot of potential in?
AI is the elephant in the room. And I think a lot of people are trying to see how they can use AI to discover some new side hustle or some new passive income stream. What I'm seeing is that AI is just helping those who are already willing to put in the work get farther ahead. What AI is doing in my eyes is widening the gap between the doers and the do-notters, if that's even a noun. Because there's so many ways you can just accelerate your pace of work by using an AI tool for ideation, for helping you generate a description, for helping you edit things. Like there's so many use cases now for AI. So I know you asked me what the side hustle is that I think has the most prospects moving forward. There's not like one in particular. I just think those who are using AI to their advantage with any of the side hustles we talked about today, or like digital products or any of the ones I'm mentioning, they're going to have a huge leg up on the people who aren't.
And of these different income streams, which have the best synergy together? Like if you have one type established, does it help tackle the next type? And if so, what are those and how can they work together?
Okay, so this is where all my worlds collide. So if you can have outsized success in any particular side hustle, so much so that you have your friends, your family ask you, David, how the heck are you making $10,000 a month with Amazon FBA? How are you making $10,000 a month with printables on Etsy? How are you? Once you get to that point, now you have demand for people who want to learn from you. So you can still do the thing, because obviously you don't want to be the expert who's just spewing BS and doesn't actually do the thing and make money with the thing. But now you can extrapolate that. You can maybe sell templates to those people. You could have a course. You could have a membership. You could do one-on-one coaching. So if you do get really good at one thing and you're making a ton of money with any of these online side hustles, then you can kind of extrapolate that out into a bigger operation.
And you have done that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened is I started to have success selling printables and other digital products on Etsy and Shopify. People ask me, they're like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? I didn't want to sit on Zoom calls all day, one-on-one Zoom calls with friends and family and random people online who saw me doing this. So we ended up just basically putting all of our material into one central place, into a course, into a community, basically just a brain dump. Like, hey, here's how we did it. Avoid the failures that we hit. Like, try to avoid the obstacles. This is how we do keyword research. This is how we do product ideation. This is how we actually create the product. And then we just put that out to the world. And we're like, if people want it, sure. If not, well, we can at least help those original people, the friends and family who wanted our help. And since then, it's like I said, it's been gangbusters. We have 20,000 people in our community.
Now you've started this entrepreneurial venture. You talked about your Frisbee golf, disc golf.
Disc golf, yeah.
And that's what you were doing when I first met you. And I think everybody was impressed by that. But then you went on to do a lot of other great things. And of course, your net worth grew along with that. So you've been in the space for 9-10 years now, as far as being an entrepreneur and thinking about how to build and create and then share all of their great knowledge with people who want to learn from you. If you were giving advice to a beginner and you had 6 months to get them to $2,000 per month, what advice would you give?
All right. I'm glad you asked so specifically. I think with $2,000 per month, you can do almost anything and do $2,000 per month. What I would say though, to early Cody or someone who's early in their career or wants to start,
old David. What about old David?
Is be willing to fail and fail often. Because I think a lot of people, they'll get stuck on one side hustle or one idea and they'll try it and then it won't work out for whatever reason. And then they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Side hustling's not for me. I just wasted so much time. The people who succeed are the people who pivot. So back to my story, when I first started selling digital products, I think it was crickets for the first couple months. Like I had poured hundreds of hours into the side hustle with almost no return. Same thing with blogging, same thing with podcasting for me as well. And I could have just gave up and said, this sucks. This is never going to make this work. I've already spent 100 hours on this. I've only made $2. This is the worst ROI ever. But instead I stuck with it. And certain things would work and I'd be like, okay, this worked. I'm going to keep on doing this. This didn't work. I'm going to stop doing that. Honestly, dude, like any side hustle you can think of, if you can just be willing to fail fast and then pivot and ideate and think of a new idea, a new strategy, you can get to $2,000 per month with literally like any passion or hobby. I'm glad you set the bar. It might sound pompous and I'm saying low, but I think $2,000 per month is a great goal for most people to get to. And I think it's achievable with almost anything.
But what specifically would you, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm excited. Cody seems like a legit, credible guy. I want to go make $2,000 in 6 months. Am I going to start an Etsy? What am I doing?
That is completely up to you. I hate saying do this specific side hustle because I could be that guy. I have a digital products course and community and have had a lot of success with it. I could say, yeah, go do digital products. But if you like doing other stuff, if you like YouTube, go all in on YouTube. You can make money on YouTube with affiliate marketing, with your own products, with sponsorships. If you like editing video, go be a video editor. If you like driving for Uber, if you just love having your foot on the pedal, go drive for Uber. and you'll figure out like the surge times to make the most money. And there is literally a way to get a 1% edge in any side hustle. So I hate being the guy to say, do this specific side hustle. Most of the time, those guys just seem like scamsters to me when it's like my side hustle or die or bust. It's like there's so many ways to get the financial independence. There's so many ways to build passive income. Lean into the one that seems attractive to you because the one that is not going to last is the one that you hate doing. So if you listen to me and you're like, all right, I'm going to do digital products and you start doing it and you hate it, you're not going to last very long. You can only do something for the money for so long before you just want to quit. So do something that you're somewhat passionate about, somewhat interested in, and make it work.
So your digital products, your printables, your courses, your memberships, they bring in about $60,000 a month for you net. But you make about $75,966 per month in passive income. Let's talk about those other three sources of passive income, which are real estate, your investment returns, and your affiliate marketing and sponsorships. Can you go through each of those and just quickly talk about the type of effort that you're putting into these and the types of return you're getting from them?
Yes. Okay. So real estate first. I mentioned at the beginning, I have a long-term rental portfolio, and then I have 2 Airbnbs as well. So top line gross revenue, those bring in on average, very variable because the Airbnbs crush it in the summer, more crickets in the winter, but on average about $20,000 top line per month. Out of that $27, take home is about $7,000. So these are leveraged. I didn't just buy these properties outright. They have mortgages on them. We have 11 long-term units and 2 Airbnbs, as I mentioned. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just the regular expenses you would expect. It's obviously mortgage expense, but then just property maintenance and upkeep and the plowing, the landscaping. We're in Massachusetts. That's why we have plowing. I know, David, you might not know much about that over in sunny San Diego.
Hey, I lived in Erie, Pennsylvania. I definitely know about shoveling snow. Yes.
Not fun at all. But yeah, so at the end of the day, we net about $7,000 per month from real estate. The other one that's more, I'll get into the index fund returns in a second because I wouldn't quite consider those passive income because I'm not taking distributions, but affiliate marketing and sponsorships, that is through Gold City Ventures, which is the digital products business that I own. So we'll do affiliate marketing like Canva, for example. That was a program that I mentioned. We love Canva. I use Canva every day. We plug Canva in our course, in our YouTube videos, and all of our content. When someone signs up for Canva through our link, we get a little kickback. That's affiliate marketing in a nutshell. We do some sponsorships as well, and I do sponsorships on my podcast, The Financial Independent Show, and we do some affiliate marketing there as well for personal finance tools and other things. And then the last one is the index fund returns, and I know you mentioned the 4,966, and people are like, what the heck? How do you possibly come up with that number? What we did was I have about $1.5 million invested in the stock market. There's this little thing called the 4% rule, which states that on average, or you can assume that you could live on about 4% of your portfolio in perpetuity. So you take 1.5 million, 4% of that is 60,000, divided by 12 is about the 4,966. So I think, David, you might have used a slightly lower number than 1.5, like 1.49 million, I think was the number you used. So you get that 4,966. But like I mentioned, I'm not actually taking those distributions out because I'm in this for the long haul. I'm 28. I'm not taking any of these stock market investments out until probably in a couple decades. So I'm just going to keep letting them ride, keep letting them compound. And as that number gets bigger, which is the cool part of compound interest in investing, as that 1.5 million number gets bigger, those monthly and those annual returns get bigger as well. So I always like to joke. I'm like, how can someone with $1 billion ever run out of money? Because you have $1 billion invested, like you're a Warren Buffett, you're an Elon Musk. Let's say you get 5% returns, which is lower than the stock market. 5% returns. You could take out $50 million a year and spend it however you want. It's just the power of compound interest is insane. And once you start working with these larger and larger numbers, it seems so much more worth it than when you have $100 invested and you're like, oh man, I only made $5 this year. This kind of stinks.
So we talked about how you're using passive income in your life, how you're creating it, how you're building your overall net worth, and that you're helping many, many other people do the same thing. How have you seen lives change and finances improve for those who have put in the work to create passive income streams?
This is the best part of my quote unquote job, is impacting other people and seeing their success. So I'll start with digital products because I probably have the most stories that I can fish out from there. But we've had some people. We had one woman who's been featured now on CNBC. She was featured on a local news station. She was featured on MSNBC. She was featured on all these different places. She quit her job as an accountant and traveled the country with her family and replaced her full-time accountant income. She was, I think, 39 or 40 years old. So she was a pretty esteemed accountant. Like she had a long tenure. I think she has a master's in accounting. Replaced her income with digital products on Etsy specifically. Crazy. Another woman on the side, while she was working her day job, made 150 grand on Etsy. This is what I was talking about. Students just outshining me. I'm like, okay, that's way better than I did in my second year. We've had other students who are covering their mortgage. We have other students who are just covering the grocery money. And it's just the relief that we see, because people are dropping comments in like the Facebook group all the time, the relief that we see, like, I've been a stay-at-home mom forever, or I've never had a side hustle before, or I never thought I could do this. And then you see them making 500, 1,000, in some cases, $150,000. It's insane. So it's super rewarding. That's why I like to give back and kind of teach the things that I'm learning. And I'm constantly learning too. I'm in learning mode. So I'm actually in the middle of something right now where I'm doing a challenge, because a lot of people will be like, well, Cody, of course you're going to continue to see outside success. Like, you were early to the market, or, you already have so many products. Of course, you're going to be able to earn way more than I can. So I'm actually doing this experiment where I'm starting an Etsy shop from scratch, anonymous. I'm not even letting anyone in our course, in our community know. And I'm seeing how fast I can get it to $1,000 per month. I actually just started this last week. So this is hot off the press. Don't tell anybody. But it's going to be a cool little case study. It's like, this is still a viable side hustle. Like, this is still something that can work. And just because I have all this quote unquote clout and I've been doing this for a while, like I'm starting fresh, not letting anybody know this is associated with me, and seeing how fast I can get to that milestone. So yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. And then obviously I'll share all the learnings that I have during this experiment with everyone in the course, and see if there's anything that I learn as a quote unquote new guy starting an Etsy shop.
I have to get you back on for another episode to talk about that. That's going to be great. Yeah. And I do like that approach, because many times if we've seen some success in something that we've done, we almost look in retrospect, we know all the work that we put into it. We know all the factors that affected it, but those factors change either for like somebody with a different personality, or maybe the environment's different at that time. So to go back and try to re-achieve something in a potentially new environment. And I think that not only gives more credibility to those who you advise, but it allows you to get another belief in yourself that, if push comes to shove, you can see success from ground zero again. So good on you. And I look forward to seeing the results and story from that.
Appreciate it.
What are some of the common challenges or cons that beginners should be aware of when pursuing passive income?
That it doesn't happen fast. It is the hockey stick approach. I know that we were chatting before we hit record here, and I've been sharing my personal finance journey publicly for 6 years at this point. I started my podcast 6 years ago, and back then the numbers really weren't flashy, and everyone's rooting for me, and they're like, Cody, this is awesome. Like, you're that 22-year-old kid. I know you were like, Cody, how old are you now? You're 24? I'm like, no, I'm 28. I wish I could stop my aging like that, but it's been a while since I've been in this game. But the reason I'm mentioning this is people will see those early numbers, and they'll be rooting for me and thinking this is awesome. And then they'll see my numbers today. And if they don't know me from before, they just think I'm bragging, or they're like, why is this dude sharing these numbers? It's like, because I like keeping it real. Like, I like the fact that I've documented the entire journey. So you can see when I was making $1,200 per month for my side hustles, and now it's upwards of $75,000. And it's like I said, it's hockey stick. So it didn't go from, it wasn't a linear path. It wasn't like 12,000 and then 20 and then 40 and then 60. It was like 12 and then 5,000 and then 20,000. It's crazy, but you just get on this linear hockey stick curve. And if you're doing the right things and you just continue to focus on the inputs, not the outputs just happen naturally. And that's what I've like really tried to focus on. Is I try not to measure myself by any financial milestones or income goals or anything like that. I just have like a daily task list. And if I do all of those, I won the day. It's not whether I made certain amount of money or whether some outcome happened that I can't control. It's if I control the inputs and I did all the things that I set out to do this day, this week, this month, then I won.
Yeah, I think that's a great representation of the overall philosophy of don't necessarily have goals for sure, but don't necessarily focus on achieving that goal, but focus on the habits that you believe will result in that goal or objective. And it seems like that's what you're doing with your time every single day.
Yeah, I had a podcaster ask me recently, he's like, I had this goal of getting, I think it was 1 million downloads. And I'm like, well, how about you don't focus on getting 1 million downloads and you focus on getting, I think he did daily episodes. I'm like, focus on getting 5 awesome episodes out every single week and check that off. That is your win for the week. It's not some arbitrary number that you set out to get. And once you change that and start focusing on the inputs, the outputs just happen if you spend a lot of time making sure the inputs are as good as they can possibly be.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're all in, or they've already started doing some income streams or trying to build them, what realistic expectations can beginners have in terms of time and effort to actually start generating the passive income?
if you don't have a lot of money, if the resources that you have if the resources you have to spend are time and energy, you will be spending a lot of it at the beginning. Like I mentioned with my digital products journey, with my blogging journey, with my podcasting journey, online course, everything that I've done, I have front loaded the work, like a crazy amount of work. And looking on paper for those first couple months or couple weeks, depending on how long it takes me to monetize, the ROI, the return on investment, is abysmal. It's like I'm making 5 cents an hour, spending 100 hours making $2 or $20. It doesn't make sense on paper, but I know that there's some kind of an outsized return on the other end of that. So that's what I'd say. Don't expect to be making $20 an hour, $50 an hour right off the bat with whatever side hustle you want to start. If you want it to be a passive income side hustle, you could go and start trading your time for money, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You could go do one-on-one coaching. You could become a freelancer. You can make money with those. But I know specifically, David, today we're talking about passive income, and those do take time and energy or money. If you have money, you can skip the time and energy part. You can hire other people to build these things for you. But if you already have the money, then you might not be as interested in starting a passive income stream in the first place.
To summarize those points, a beginner can expect to invest a significant amount of time upfront, gradual growth and compounding effects over time, but not immediate. And then just consistent effort and patience is key. You just keep going.
That's it. That's the formula. I think a lot of people in the side hustle sphere, in the financial independence sphere, in the fitness sphere, will think that it's a couple big moves that make all the difference. Like a lot of people will think, that's why so many people play the lottery. They think that winning the lottery is somehow going to solve all their financial problems. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. Like if you don't know how to manage $10,000, you're definitely not going to know how to manage $10 million. And so it's the people who make these small incremental gains every day, no matter what you're doing. Like you can't correct a whole year of non-exercising, just exercising for 24 hours one day. Like you got to split it up. You got to have that consistent weekly, that daily routine. And over time, you'll see results. It's not the big things, it's the small things that compound over time.
If I have a 9 to 5, a normal W-2 that takes up my daily time and energy, let's do stereotypically a Monday through Friday, and then I'm hearing something like this, or I'm trying to get additional income, something to help build legacy, something to help me achieve financial independence sooner in life or at some point in life. How do I balance these side hustles with the full-time job? What strategies do you recommend for managing and balancing this effectively?
So first, I want to just say that your balance will probably be a little bit out of kilter. When I was doing this, I worked in corporate America for 7 months, and I had a 2-hour commute to Boston. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., start working on my side hustles, hop on the train, work on my side hustles on my laptop. It was an hour 20 whole train ride. Sometimes don't listen to this, boss. Sometimes I would work on my side hustles while I was at work. Then I would work on my side hustles the whole train ride home. And then after I'd go to the gym and eat dinner, I'd usually work on my side hustles for another hour. I was putting in 4 to 5 hours a day on top of my day job. Now that might sound insane. I was in my 20s. I didn't have kids. I understand that there's people in different situations, but you just might have to let things give a little bit. You might not be able to watch that Netflix show. You might have to wake up an hour earlier. You are going to have to make sacrifices if right now you're like, I don't have any time for this. I'm sorry, you will have to make sacrifices. On a tactical front though, a strategy that I've used that's been incredibly effective for me is called time blocking. So if I have 30 minutes, I will set my watch. I have a timer app on my computer. I'll just set it for whatever amount of time. I put my phone in the other room, locked. I don't let myself do anything other than the thing that I set out to do for that time block. And that has worked incredibly well because if you have your phone next to you, you're scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, looking on Facebook, and all of a sudden 20 minutes go by. Those 20 minutes could have been used to push your passive income streams forward. You really don't need that much time. Like you can do a lot with the 10-minute pockets you might find yourself with throughout the day.
Is it worth it, Cody? What are the major pros and cons of dedicating all of this time to building passive income streams?
The con is the time and energy at the beginning, but quite honestly, and I know that I have a bit of an abnormal story. I don't expect people to follow my path exactly, but I didn't have to sacrifice that hard for that long. I would say I sacrificed really hard for maybe 2 to 3 years. And then after that, I had reached financial independence, which I know that sounds crazy. That's just the true numbers. That's how long it took me from like 22 to 25. If you want it to be a little longer, like don't do the 5 hours, between before and after work that I was doing. You can maybe do 2 or 3, but your journey might take you longer to escape corporate America or hit financial independence or build passive income streams to some certain level, whatever your goals might be. But it was absolutely worth it, man. 100% worth it. Like 3 years out of what's the average life expectancy, 76, to hit financial independence and never have to worry about money again is well worth it in my book.
What role does your passive income play in your overall portfolio, your net worth growth, your life goals? Do you see yourself as this temporary in 20 years or 10 years or 5 years? Are you going to sell it all and retire on a beach somewhere? How does this fit into your life design?
This is a fantastic question and one that I love to answer. So obviously the number in the thumbnail of this YouTube video that we've been spouting, the 75,966, that is way more than I need to live on a monthly basis. So what I'm doing with that money is I'm just reinvesting 80 to 90% of it every single month into the stock market, into more real estate investments. The end goal though, I love the game of business. Like I've kind of just fallen in love with this. I could stop all these things tomorrow and just take the money that I'm getting from my real estate and my index funds and retire. Like I considered myself financially independent at 25 when I was bringing in about $3,000 from real estate passively or semi-passively per month, about 4 or 5 hours of work. And my index funds, which at the time I had $500,000 invested using that fancy 4% rule we were talking about earlier, I could live on about $20,000 per year or a little less than $2,000 per month from that. So combining those, I'm like, okay, I have over $5,000 per month in mostly passive income. My expenses at the time were like $2,000 a month. Now they're a little bit higher. But at that point, I considered myself financially independent. So all the stuff that I've been accumulating, all the things that I've been doing since then are just gravy. It's because I love the game. I love figuring out new marketing strategies. I love like the thing that I was just talking about with the Etsy challenge. That's fun to me. I love doing stuff like that. It's not because I have to. It's because I like teaching other people. I like challenging myself. I like getting to that next level. An analogy I like to use is it's like, okay, so my net worth is approaching 3 million. I'm about 2.9 right now. Again, I'm super transparent with numbers. My income is 7-figure income. And people are like, well, isn't that enough? Aren't you just going to stop? It's like, well, if my goal is to run a 6-minute mile and I get the 6 minutes, am I just going to continue to run a 6-minute mile for the rest of my life? Or when I want to get to 5:55 or 5:50 or 5:45, or at least try for it without killing myself? Like if I had to sacrifice my family and friends to get to that 5:45, then forget about it. I'm not going to try. But if it's just a little bit more of incremental effort and it's fun for me, then why not? Why not get to that next milestone? So honestly, yeah, I'm glad you asked this question. That's why I do it. It's just for the love of the game. It's like, it's a sport to me at this point. I love the game of business.
How would you classify or categorize the types of rewarding feeling that you get from doing this? One being helping other people succeed and the other watching your net worth grow. Or is there some other category that you put weight into to determine your own level of success and desire to move forward?
There's definitely a lot to be said about seeing another person succeed. I feel like there's just something in you that it just feels so much better. It's like, you could donate $1,000 per month to some cause that you never actually see the people, or your neighbor's house burned down in a fire and you give them $500. Giving your neighbor the money is going to feel better, even though you might have a broader impact with that $1,000 to buy mosquito nets in Ghana or something. You know what I mean? So I love the feeling of like seeing a singular person, seeing their outcome, seeing them talk about, hey, I was able to do this for my family. Hey, I was able to take this trip. Hey, I was able to quit my day job. I love that. That's definitely a huge part of it. The net worth part, it's kind of the outputs thing, right? It's cool. Like my net worth is just continuing to climb. My income is continuing to climb because I'm focusing so much on the inputs. It's like if I can continue to change people's lives, they're going to tell other people about me, the things that I'm doing. They're going to then like link to me and just talk about me. I might get more people in my community, in my orbit, it leads to more opportunities. It's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle. Is the more that I focus on helping other people, the more that it comes back to me, which is amazing and might sound counterintuitive to some people.
When I think about what I could be doing to earn additional income, maybe for not as much effort as one would expend in a traditional W-2, for some reason I don't know if it's guilt. I don't know if it's like, do I deserve that? I kind of get caught up and I feel like that's, maybe I'm just using that as an excuse not to take those first steps or second steps or third steps or whatever it is. But there's something that's saying, David, you didn't really earn that, or that's not, or your effort shouldn't result in so much. I don't know. I personally get hung up on that a little bit. And maybe it's a philosophical thing. Maybe it's how I grew up. Maybe it's, how you weigh certain values in the world. Do you get hung up on that at all? And do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I've definitely faced this. And especially when Gold City Ventures, the digital products company, started growing. Once we started hiring people, we hired experts in our Facebook group. We started hiring people to do admin work for us. We started hiring all these things out. And at this point, I could probably shut my laptop for 6 months, a year, and not that much would change, which is kind of crazy and almost makes me feel, like you said, guilty. It's like, how am I taking home this much money when I've outsourced a lot of the work to other people? It just doesn't feel right. But I think at some point I just had to get over that hurdle. Like, this is how businesses are built. You can only do so much as a one man or one woman army. Like, if your goal is impact and you're just a solo operator, you can only do so much. Like, at some point you're going to have to scale. At some point you're going to have to outsource. At some point, you're not going to be doing every single part of the business. You're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have to be okay with giving up the reins. You're going to have to be okay with maybe playing a more CEO role, not the master of all trades, or what is it? The jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I was trying to say there. So I think for me, I definitely struggled a lot at the beginning, and I definitely still do get income guilt. And sometimes I'll get weird comments from like friends or family, but you just know that's part of the package. And I hope that doesn't discourage other people for going after this, because if you are someone who does want to do a lot of good, like I donate a percentage of my monthly income every single month. It feels awesome. And it's kind of like, I don't even see the money. So sometimes I forget about it because it just gets automatically siphoned out of my bank account. But I know that I'm like doing some good with this money. And even if you don't, that's another thing. I guess I don't want people to feel pressured into that either. Like, you can do whatever you want with the money that you earn. If you put in the work, you build the systems, you don't have to donate either. If you want to just keep the money for yourself, fine. I'm not here to police you and tell you what to do with your money. But if you have a goal, if you have a mission, if you want to retire your family, if your mom's been working her whole life to give you the life that you've had and she's still working and you can do this for her, my God, go and do it. Go and earn more money than someone might think you should earn, and buy her a house and take her on a vacation. Like, there's just so many things you can do, so many doors that open up once you are willing to expand your income. I know that sounds pompous, willing to expand your income, but it really is. It's the daily habits. Like, it's like working out. It's just like taking those small, consistent daily actions. And eventually, like I said, the output is going to happen because of the inputs that you're doing every day.
Thanks, Cody. I appreciate you saying that.
Feel better?
Maybe I'll get there. Let me start an Etsy shop and I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
So if you're listening to this, I want to vouch for Cody a little bit here. I've known him since he was much younger than he is now. I first met him at a Camp 5, I believe it was Southeast in Florida. And at that time, I don't think the world knew who Cody Berman was. But I will say, after that weekend, at least in the financial independence community, people began to know who he was. Let me tell you a story. So during Camp 5 at night, they were doing a podcast recording, and they had a panel of known personalities up there asking questions. Cody was sitting in the audience. I do not remember the question. I do not remember what we were talking about exactly. I just remember this young guy gets up, walks to the front of the room, gets to the mic, and from that, for the next few minutes, everybody's jaw just dropped. From our perspective, he was articulate. He had wisdom beyond his years. It was extremely impressive. And in that crowd was a guy by the name of Doug Nordman, and he was sitting next to me. And I remember we just leaned over to each other and said, how do we buy stock in Cody Berman? No matter what it costs, I want to buy stock in Cody Berman because this guy's going to do big things. And here we are, I don't know, 6 years later, and you have done big things, and you have a great spirit in the space and at large. I know, this podcast is specific financial independence kind of focused, money focused, but your effort and energy that you're putting out into the world, Cody, is helping so many people, and it's brightened up my life. So I really do appreciate it. I know I started a site called Phiology many, many years ago, 2018. And periodically, probably at least twice a year, you and I either get on a phone call or go back and forth over text, or I ask you to do something. I remember you even got in and helped me do some back end work on that site. So to you, it might mean nothing, or something very small. But for me, who I didn't have that technical knowledge, and you were willing to just use your time when you could be out making another $1,000 a month in passive income. You put your effort towards me and my endeavors with zero in return. So I really do appreciate that. And that says a lot about your character.
Appreciate you, David. I did not expect to get this praise on this podcast today. You made my day.
Yeah. Let's talk about your course, Cody. So if somebody listened to this whole podcast, and like, oh, I know it's coming. I feel it coming. I've Googled his name already. I know he sells something. All right. Let's talk about what you're doing out there to help people, Cody, and how somebody can actually use the products that you have put together to improve their own life.
Well, I don't want people to get that slimy course guy feeling, first of all. So if you are interested in digital products, go and watch. I recorded with my business partner, Julie. We have an hour-long free workshop. So go do that. If you are still interested, we do have an entire course. And basically, it's called the ePrintables course. It takes you A to Z from product ideation to creating the products to marketing the products to then, once you see some success, how to multiply that success in a nutshell. And we have a bunch of templates and we do new product ideation every month with you. Again, going back to the seasonal thing, like every single holiday when there's something that's new that's trending, we'll typically provide templates so that all of our students can use those and then customize them and put them in their own shops. So like I said, we've had some amazing success stories come out of there. We continue to iterate and make the program better when things change. We record videos, so it's always fresh. And yeah, man, if people are interested, they can go check it out. It's at goldcityventures.com. And like I said, it's a free workshop. Don't have to pay anything for it. Go watch that. I don't want you to think I'm just some course guy. So hopefully you can get some free value there.
Yeah, Cody, and I'll put that link in the show notes of the YouTube video as well as the podcast.
Awesome.
So people can just scroll down and take a look and click on that and watch that hour-long video and then determine whether or not they want to move forward. Cody, thank you so much. Thanks for being, I guess, a friend. I guess you're a friend. You're a friend and an associate. And yeah. Oh, and at some point we need to do a musical. Wow, I just thought that was like a period. We need to do a musical.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of musicals. At some point we should actually, when you're not doing the trillion other things that you're doing, we should get back into. I know you have a core love of music, as do I, and it would be fun to work on some projects together and see what we can come up with. Maybe
Send me some beats, David. Send me some beats.
401k rap song.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Send me some beats and I'll see what I got.
All right, Cody, thank you very much for sharing how your 4 passive income streams make you $75,966 a month, and how we can take some of the lessons that you shared and incorporate it into our own financial independence journey.
Thank you for having me, David. This was a real pleasure. I'm glad we finally were able to coordinate this. And I got to say, you have one of the sickest backgrounds in the YouTube game, definitely in the financial independence sphere. So thank you again for having me on. Hopefully I delivered some value. Hopefully people get encouraged to start some passive income streams and change their lives with it.
I think they will. And thank you all for watching and listening.